What up? What up? What up? It's Ibn Webb, Ib Webb, Quran Assam. Got another official thanks thing going down here. Essex County All Day Edition. Actually, looking forward to this. Haven't talked to him, seen him in a while here. Billy Lovett, East Orange zone here. Went on to do great things in high school, college. Went on to coaching, doing some training, doing a bunch of other stuff too. Hopefully, get to share a little bit as far as what he got going on here. But like I said, it's a joy to have him on. Like I said, I just remember I think I'm a year or two older than him, but so I got to see his come up some here, and like I said, just very proud of what he's done and looking forward to what he got going on too. So just hold tight. Hey Billy, what's up, man? How you, man?
What's up, man? How you doing? How you been? Happy New Year.
Same to you too, man. I'm good, man. Doing good, thanks, man.
Good.
Glad you got a few minutes here, man. Again, like I said, I know when I talked to you earlier. Like I said, you just like, not a problem. I jump on and it's much appreciated. Like I said, everybody's been great with this. So I appreciate you as well. Just jumping in and just talking for a quick second or two.
I appreciate you having me. Just the fact that, you asked to have me on. I've been following it, watching. I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you.
Nah, definitely, man. I'll just jump into it, man. I know you got the Moore's Catholic hoodie on right there. How your girls doing so far?
We're doing pretty good. We're a very young team. I'm actually going to start 5 freshmen in the next game. We have 7 freshmen on the team, 9 players. My best players are my freshmen. We're after the first week, we got ranked number 10 in the state. So we started out unranked, and then after the first week, we became the number 10 ranked team. We lost to St. John Vianney, who's always very good. I wanted to see where we were, how good we actually were. And then we went on and knocked off Sparta, who was ranked number 7 in the state. So we played St. John Vianney on a Friday night, and then we beat Sparta on Sunday.
Now your girls, you guys, you playing independent schedule, or you guys in a conference?
No, we're in the NJAC conference up here in Morris County. So we have to play that conference, and we're in the Morris County county tournament as well.
Okay.
But I like to play a lot of independent games. So, we played that first game against the number 1 team in the state, and St. John Vianney was preseason number 10 in the country. And then we'll have a couple other showcase games as well. We're going to play Western Orange in the showcase game next Saturday. And then we're going to go to New York to the Say Yes to Success. We play a team from Rhode Island. And then the following week, we're going to play in the Mecca, which is at the Gaucho tournament. And we're going to play Paul VI, which is ranked number 5 in the state. But next year, my thought process is we're going to go to Tampa for a Christmas tournament. I want to do the same things that I was fortunate enough to be able to do in high school at St. Anthony's, and give these girls the same type of experience that I had, if I can possibly do that. That's kind of hard because, we were like a college program in high school. So I want to give them as much of that experience as possible.
Now, how long you been there now?
This is my 4th year.
Okay.
It's been a good run. We've been successful over the last 4 years, over the last 3, and going into this year. We've had high-level talent, lost in the state championship 2 out of the 3 years. When then we lost in the championship game last year, our best player was hurt, didn't play. So we put 4 kids in college. 4 seniors have gone on to play 4 seniors have gone on to play Division I basketball. So it's been pretty good.
Nah, that's good stuff, man. And 5 freshmen, man, you taking it back on me. Michigan days here. So you throw them in the fire, they ready to play, they play. That's how that goes.
It's funny, man. I always say, hey, they're freshmen, but these freshmen are a little different. I have 2 freshmen by the name of Mia and Maya Paldo. They're ranked by ESPN in the top 25 in the country. One of them is considered the number 1 freshman in the country. The other one is the number 10. I have another 5'10" freshman guard who was played on one of the top AAU programs in the country, Philly Rides. I think she lost 2 games all summer, and that was 2 championships. How many games you play in AAU, she traveled all over the country. So, between those 3, it's amazing, how good they really are. They're not your typical freshman girls. So when I say I'm starting 5 freshmen, yeah, but I'll put my 5 freshmen up against anybody in the state, as we did against St. John Vianney and now everybody else. So it's fun. The future is extremely bright. That's just a matter of keeping these young ladies humble, working hard with them every day, and just trying to make sure they're getting better.
Nah, absolutely, man. And I'm gonna jump back. I'm gonna jump
Yeah.
back to that in a second, but I'm gonna jump over to another county here where you was born and raised, man. Essex County, man. How was it for you just growing up East Orange, man? How was it for you?
It was great. For me, being a young kid, grew up on Amherst Street in East Orange, had a lot of family members who played basketball and were very, very good that went on and played at East Orange High School, that being my dad, Billy Lovett Sr. I had a cousin, Cleveland Eugene, who was very good as well. So I'd heard all the stories of how good everybody was. And then I grew up watching East Orange High School.
Mhm.
My days of playing were at Elmwood School,
Yeah.
as well as at Elmwood Park. So between basketball and baseball, that was my thing. I mean, baseball was my main sport. I just loved basketball more. And a lot of people talk to me about how good I could have been in baseball, but I just didn't love it as much.
Yeah, you pitched too, right?
I did. I pitched. So, like I said, that was my main thing. Baseball was my thing. I played there. And then, as a young kid, I went to Alley to the Valley. So I would play up in Orange at the Orange at Metcalf Park. So in the baseball league at Metcalf Park, I would play in that as well. So, I mean, my time there was phenomenal. I had good coaches. I had somebody by the name of Carl Davis. Obviously, Kevin Brown coached me at Elmwood Park. Joe Jordan was another coach that I had growing up. Mark Copeland. I was taught by a lot of good coaches, as well as somebody by the name of Craig Brandon, who coached me in youth games, and that was my foundation. That's where I got it from as a young kid, and having the chance to compete against the best kids in Elmwood Park, as well as the adults at a young age.
Now you played from baseball to basketball in a bunch of like leagues, AAU circuits. You did a few things prior to high school running around with that too, right?
Absolutely. AAU, I didn't do as much. I mean, I played a little bit with the North Rams out of
Mhm.
the Y as a young kid, but didn't do as much AAU at that young age. Baseball, we did play with that was the city league that we had in East Orange, 9 to 12. I started playing in that league at 8 years old. Um, I looked up to guys like Abdul Madison, Omar Cooper.
Mhm.
I played with Ab and played against Omar. Um, but it was great. And then from traveling around the city to playing, we would travel from park to park or school to school to play. And that's how the league was at that time as a young kid. And then we went out of the state to go play in Little Lads, and that's where we were able to play against some teams from other places,
Mhm.
other parts of the state, as well as New York, and even Puerto Rico was coming over to play a couple of times. Then I played in it was the what was it called? Small Fry.
Okay. Small fry.
Small Fry. And Small Fry was another opportunity for us to go out and compete against other teams and players from other states. So yeah, I had a lot of exposure and a lot of chances to play against some other really good players at a really, really young age.
Now you forgetting one. Youth games, right?
Oh man, how can I forget that? Youth games. I started playing youth games at 12 years old. So I played on that 15U team at 12 years old. And it's funny, that's where I actually met Roderick Rhodes. And he talked to me about going to St. Anthony's,
Mhm.
playing behind guys like Alan Watson, Yasin, and looking up to those type of guys, and just having a chance to compete against them at such a young age. But youth games was great. I won every medal you can win. I mean, I won the gold, I won the silver, I won the bronze. Between our time in Atlanta, our time in Alabama, and then I think we also went to Atlanta, Alabama, and then Philadelphia.
Mhm. Yeah, nah, you can like. I mean, everybody who had the opportunity to play said it was such a great experience. And you sound like what you played at least 2 years, maybe three, right?
I played four.
Oh, my bad.
Played 4 years.
Okay.
4 years.
Hmm.
People saying they thought I was too old. By the time I was, 15, they thought I was too old. But I had started at such a young age. It was great experience, man. It was unbelievable to have that chance to just play and compete against the level of competition at such a young age.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, and then obviously you talk about high school. One thing, obviously picking high schools here. I know you just mentioned about Roderick saying something about St. Anthony's, but what was your thought process before going there? Because again, at that age, like you're one of the first people I knew. I know you're a couple of years behind me here, but just as far as in regards to making a business decision, to be honest with you,
Right.
that's what is still paying off to you for to this day here. So, but
Absolutely.
what led to ultimately going there?
Well, being that I went to Our Lady of the Valley, Essex Catholic practiced in our gym all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So my thought process as a young kid was myself, Andre Adams, and Eric Yaden. We were all going to go from Our Lady of the Valley to Essex Catholic and continue the success, hopefully to continue the success that we were having in grammar school. We went undefeated for 2 years, playing against the best teams around the state, and that was a thought. So I really thought I was going to go to Essex Catholic. There was an outside chance I might go to Clifford Scott, but I had never gone to public school. So that really wasn't a main thought process. Greg Tynes was talking to me about going there, but my family had me in Catholic school all along. Mm-hmm. Seton Hall prep just cost too much at the time. So my family just couldn't afford that for me to go to Seton Hall prep, even though it was a great option, just couldn't afford the school. So everything was all lined up for me to go to Essex Catholic. Coach Brandon, my youth games coach, and obviously with me playing with Roger Rhodes at that one year, talked about, hey, as successful as I had been, possibly having a chance of going to St. Anthony's. And what did I think about it? I didn't know anything about St. Anthony's. All I knew was Essex Catholic. I had been to the Essex Catholic games often, those battles between them and Clifford Scott. I would see how it was. The crowd is rocking. I wanted to be a part of that. And I also remember watching the Essex County tournament on TV. I would sit there with my dad. I'd go to some of the games with my grandfather. And I just wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to, be in those games, see what it was like, be able to play on TV. But there was one thing, my dad and I were home, and I was sick from school one day, and St. Anthony's was playing on ESPN in the Pine Bluff Classic. And that was, Roger was a freshman at that time. I was in 8th grade, and I was watching. And I just was like saying, man, if people are saying that I'm as good as they think I am, maybe I should go challenge myself as I've always done to try to go play with, team that's considered to be the best. They were number one in the country at the time. And the only thing was, now it was a matter of, hey, who can introduce me to Coach Hurley? And Coach Brandon made that introduction for me, took me over there to sit down with them. And my family sat down with Coach Hurley. And Coach Hurley was very, very honest with myself and my family. He didn't know me. He had heard things about me, but he had never seen me play. He was hearing different people tell him about how good I was. What he sat down and told my family was, I can't promise your son anything. He's going to have to make it to every practice. He's going to have to make it to every game. There is no excuses about traveling at 45 minutes by train and bus, whether we have practice in the snow or whatever. He's going to have to make it, and he's got to do well in school. From a basketball standpoint, he'll probably play freshman basketball as a freshman because that's what most of our freshmen do. Our team is very, very good. And then he'll have to compete. But if he does well on the freshman team, he'll have a chance to compete for a place on the varsity as a sophomore. And then from there, be a piece of the puzzle. Go from there, and then, as a junior, be another main piece of the team. And as a senior, hopefully, if it all works out for him, he'll be one of the main players on our team. Mm-hmm. And nobody had ever said anything to me like that.
Yeah.
So everybody was talking to me about coming and playing varsity as a freshman.
Yeah.
Coming and playing varsity. Not that I was going to start, but coming and contributing on the varsity level as a freshman. So for me, I'm saying, do I go play varsity at some of these schools, or do I go over here where they're considered not the number one team in the state, number one team in the country, and go compete? Sat down with my dad, sat down with my grandparents who live next door to me, and just had that honest conversation about, hey, do you think this is something that I can do? Can you support me by paying the tuition? Because everybody had to pay something. And at the time, St. Anthony's was the least expensive out of Essex Catholic Seton Hall Prep in terms of school. But I still had to get on that bus, that 24 bus on Central Avenue by probably, 6:20, I think it was. I needed to get on there to then take the bus downtown North to catch the subway over to Penn Station, and then catch the PATH train to either to Journal Square to then change it to go to Newport Mall, or catch it to Grove Street and then walk down the street 10 to 15 minutes. So it was going to be a commute no matter what for a kid who was 14 years old at the time. I had turned 14 right before school started. School always started on the 27th of August. My birthday was on August 25th. So I was a young kid that's going down, traveling early in the morning and then having to come back home late at night because we practiced in the evening. Had to make sure my grades were there. And then, like you said, it was a business decision. It was a business decision. And I didn't know at the time so much that it was going to be a business decision, but I knew that I wanted to go and continue to compete with the best. So I made that decision. I went there, and as a freshman, I did play freshman basketball. And it was crazy. A lot of people thought that there were so many kids who were coming from all different areas to go to St. Anthony's. That wasn't the case when I was there. That was, more later on. There was kids coming from all over New York. When I was a freshman, it was only me and a kid named Carlos Cueto who were not from Jersey City. All of those kids were coming through the Jersey City Boys Club, and they were going to St. Anthony's. As a freshman, it was a ton of kids who came out for the freshman team. Everybody, thought they were really good. And I think it was probably 50, 60 kids that were out there. Cut the team down. By my sophomore year, the majority of those kids were no longer at the school anymore because now they sort of writing on the wall that, okay, maybe I wasn't good enough to make the freshman team. I'm not going to be able to make it later on. So they went on to other schools and played. And not that they weren't good basketball players. It just they weren't good enough to make that team. There was a lot of kids who were part of our program that were not good enough to play at our school, but they were good enough to play other places and be stars.
Yeah, crazy, man. And I know, and I just remember, I'm sure obviously it was in your face if I'm hearing it. I know it's definitely smacking your face. Nah, Billy going down and he ain't never gonna play. He making the worst mistake ever. And it was, imagine if it was the internet and all that back then. But for stuff to even just get around like that, I remember that vividly. He ain't playing, he ain't getting no playing time, he wasting his time, this and that. I can only imagine all the stuff you heard directly to you.
Well, the funny thing is it really wasn't ever said directly to me. Okay. Because again, I wasn't here, I wasn't around. So it was all the talk that I was hearing, third party, different people saying different things. My time from Monday through Sunday, for the most part, was spent in Jersey City. By the time I got home, it was time to turn around, do the little bit of extra homework that I had to do. And then it was time to turn around and go right back to school the next day. So my focus was strictly on what I needed to do on a daily basis. Make sure my grades were good, make sure that I was performing at the highest level every day and being the best kid that I could be and just trying to get better. It was, and I would come back and say to people, man, these teams we are playing against are better than some of the varsity teams that other people are playing against. We were playing against all the Catholic schools in New York, all of their freshman teams, and they were loaded with talent. I mean, it just seemed like a lot of guys were not moving up to be able to play at the higher level. They had to go through the process. And that's what it was. Everybody, my close-knit group of coaches that I trusted were the ones that were telling me, just trust the process. Trust the process. Everything is going to work out for you. Trust the process. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm watching other guys. Like I watched Andre Adams. We grew up together. He's on the varsity at Clifford Scott. I'm playing freshman basketball. So I'm saying to myself, I'm supposed to be pretty good. I could be on the varsity somewhere too playing. I could be over here playing and getting the same recognition that some of these other people are getting. Clifford Scott actually won the state championship that year. They went to the Tournament of Champions. But on the flip side, St. Anthony's was the number 2 team in the country. So I would have been playing, who am I beating out? Danny Hurley at the time? Am I beating out, some of the other big time guards that were going on to high level colleges? No, I wasn't beating those kids out. I wasn't good enough to beat those guys out. And I really wasn't good enough to be on the team when it's all said and done. And that's just me being honest with myself and understanding the situation. But every single day, we worked extremely hard. We were practicing against really good competition. We were pushed hard. Nobody moved up. I mean, we had another kid by the name of Carlos Cueto. He was considered the number 1 player in the country. He had led the Jersey City Boys Club to the AAU National Championship 2 years in a row. I think it was 7th and 8th grade year. 7th and 8th grade year, they won a national championship. And he was another guard. So it was funny when we would battle, and we had a battle with Essex Catholic, and they had, Eric Gaden was on that team, and Rashawn Palmer was playing freshman at the time. And at that time, we brought Carlos down to come play with us because we knew they were good as well to go play against that team. But hey, man, like you said, the all the noise, I heard it. And then when I would come back and come around to some of the games, people be in my ear about, yo, you ain't never gonna play. You should come back over here. You should go to EO. You should go to Scott. At that time, it really wasn't Essex Catholic anymore because they had Allen and they had Yasin. So nobody was saying that because I just never had come. It was more, you should go to Clifford Scott.
Interesting, man. And then, but as your time there, I mean, the structure you had around as far as down there, did you just see yourself slowly getting better as far as within the system, but even individually? Did you just see that whole progression?
I did. It was funny because the kids that were on the older team, like a Halim Abdullah, who wound up going, to Illinois and different places, and Michael Goins, and again, playing against Danny Hurley, and all the other former college players, whether it was Bobby Jr. to David Rivers coming back and working with us, and, the Mandy Johnson, all of these different guys that came back and worked with us, whether it was in our practices or our open gyms. Our open gyms were like wars. It was amazing. We had open gym Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Didn't matter how hot it was, didn't matter how cold. There was no out of bounds. We would pick up the bingo tables off of the floor, put them on the stage before we worked out, and then we would put them back down after we finished. We would be in those jumping shoes. We'd have games in those. We would lift weights before we came upstairs to play. We'd be in our jumping shoes for maybe a couple games. And it was a progression of how you had to play hard. So most people would say, oh, you're going to get hurt in those. You can't play. Well, you weren't playing hard. You didn't defend. You didn't do all the things you needed to do or competed. Coach Hurley was throwing you out the gym and telling you, get out of here. There's somebody else who's breathing down your neck who wants your spot. There's another highly talented kid who's coming through here who might be waiting his turn or looking for that crack of someone not doing what they're supposed to do to get that opportunity to give their chance to get on the court. So getting in there and competing against them on a daily basis helped me that freshman year, especially going into my sophomore year. Now I saw some growth, put on a little bit of weight, maturity of my game, the understanding of how to play the point guard position. And then just the willing to want to compete, but also the willingness to shut everybody up who was saying I was never going to play. That was the other thing. I wanted to prove everybody wrong. Like, yeah, I hear what y'all are saying, but I'm doing something totally different over here. I'm outside of the box. Everybody else is in their own box. I've done something totally different from everybody else, and eventually you all are going to watch me on that big stage. Just if you see me at a younger age, you're going to watch me on that big stage competing against the best and coming to the games and saying, damn, maybe he was right. He did do the right thing. So, and it worked out for me my sophomore year, having a chance to play on the varsity and then getting a chance to play. My first game that I started actually was in the state championship game state tournament game against Essex County. That was the first game that I ever started in my career. So you got to imagine, I grew up playing against Allen in Elmwood Park on a daily basis, trying to see where do I compare to him? How can I compete? He's much older than me. But that was also from youth games days of being there. I was 12. I think he was 15 at the time. Going against him, having to defend him, making sure that I'm doing the right things, trying to stay in front of him. And now this is going to be my first game that I'm going to start, and my whole career is going to be the state tournament first game. So it all worked out for us, man. I mean, it worked out great for me. Unfortunately, we lost in the state championship to Marist that year. Sold out crowd at St. Peter's College. I'll never forget Roger Groves getting poked in the eye on the first play. A lot of us think it was done on purpose.
Hey, Marist, St. Anthony's, you never know. Yeah, man.
Marist was really, really good at that time. I mean,
Geraldo or Roscoe Harris and all
that. Was that team. Donnell Williams, D-Dot. I mean, they had 6 or 7 Division I kids, 4 or 5 high majors, just like we had. It was no different. But then you also had to understand the rivalry of this. A lot of those kids lived in Jersey City. A lot of those kids were from the projects. They grew up playing together. So they just happened to go to Marist, and some kids went to St. Anthony's. So that rivalry of trying to go at each other and beat Marist had never beat St. Anthony's. So it was really, really intense. I didn't know anything about it because I wasn't from there. So for me, it was, okay, it's just another game. But for everybody else, no, it was huge. When I say there was a line wrapped around the corner to get into St. Peter's College, and place was already sold out. So when that ball went up, and for me, I always wanted to get on defense first. I'd say, all right, let me settle in on defense from the first thing instead of getting the ball. It's just a nervous thing for me at that time. Ball went up. Now it's a matter of matching up with John Giraldo, and then we went at it. So we got beaten that game. And from that day, Eben, all Coach Hurley talked about was where we needed to be to get back to winning in the state tournament, to win in the state championship. They had won my freshman year. We lost my sophomore year. And we worked so hard. We finished up that year, I think, probably number 4 or 5 in the country. I think that was our second loss. Only other loss we had was to St. Raymond's. My sophomore year, we lost to Dunbar, who was number 1 in the country. They had Michael Lloyd, Dana Dingle, Dante Bright. We played them in the Charm City Classic. So then we lost that second game to Marist, and that's all we had, 2 games.
But crazy, man. And for the next 2 years, obviously, man, you get to traveling. You mentioned some of these teams out of state, what have you, man. And just the experience of that. And then obviously, how's the whole college thing for you as far as this starts to rev up, as far as, you're going to be crossing that stage eventually. You got to think about your next step then too. How's all this just coming together?
Well, after the sophomore year, went to All-American camp, Nike All-American camp. Had a chance to go compete there. Was playing AAU with the Road Runners. I grew up playing with the Road Runners the whole time with Sandy. And it was just, again, a progression of trying to get ready for the high school season. Bad taste in my mouth from the loss. Now I'm not starting point guard at the time. And it's like, okay, we're working extremely hard. Again, our open gyms are Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. We're running. We're doing everything we can to get ourselves prepared to get back into that state championship game to try to win. We went back down to Maryland and played. So we would always open up the season in what was called the Skyline Classic. I think we played against the Matha that year, and a team from New York, Bishop Loughlin, came over. We wound up beating both of them to start. We went to Maryland again to play in the Charm City Classic to play against Dunbar. Again, we had lost the year before. We beat them my junior year. We played in another event in New York. We would always, and then for Christmas, we went to San Diego to an event called the Above the Rim Classic. We played out there. We won that championship. We wound up playing against Miles Simon and Modern Day. We beat them. We also played against a team that had a guy named Jacques Vaughn that played the NBA for a long time. Beat their team in the semifinals. And then, like I said, we beat Modern Day, which was a huge, huge matchup. Again, obviously, us coming from Jersey, Modern Day was really good, and we beat them. We were set to try to play a game against Rashid's Wallace team, Simon Gratz.
Right. Sure.
And somehow something happened where we couldn't get the game put together. I think we were number 2 in the country at the time, and they were number 1. And they were trying to set us up to play in some type of showcase game somewhere. And this is what was going on. So again, I'm saying, okay, I'm playing in big time games, man. I'm going all over the country. We're playing in packed houses. We went to Canada as well, Vancouver, where we were actually staying in the houses with the kids that we played against. We had a practice. They were selling tickets to come watch us practice for $25. The practice had probably about 5,000-6,000 people to watch us practice. And then the question was, okay, well, we got to play against these kids that we staying in the house with. Well, we know how it is with Coach Hurley. If we're not competing, you're not going to play. But I got to come back to this house with these people. So we had like a kill everything in front of us mentality. It didn't matter. Luckily, we were on the beating that team pretty bad, and people were really nice. They were still fed us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
All of those type of things. Took us out to party and stuff. And then we played against another team up there, and it was just, man, but when I could say the experience, I remember saying in the beginning about trying to give my Morris Catholic girls just somewhat of the experience that I had in high school. I can never give them the whole experience because we were truly like a college team. I mean, from the gear that we got from Nike, 3-4 pairs of sneakers, we had all a bunch of sweatsuits, we had gear, we had everything, man. I mean, when it came time for the state tournament, we would get new pairs of sneakers. And then going into my senior year, so that year we did everything we needed to do, and we got back to the game against Marist, and that was my junior year. And we played Marist at the Armory, packed, again, sold out, round the corner, lines, people can't get in. And then again, understanding how big this matchup was for that Hudson County area. Now me being in it the year before, I got it and we lost, we understood. But now they were coming back again with a huge team that was ranked nationally. We were on a crazy win streak, but we were right back to the matchup that we were looking forward to. And I remember us beating them by, I think it was 3 points or something. There was a game on TV. Remember grabbing a big rebound at the end when they missed, just being able to secure the game and then going to the foul line and making 2 foul shots. And it was probably something like 15 seconds left. But it was a back and forth game, all game. Nobody got up by more than probably 5 or 6 points. It just, being in those type of atmospheres and those type of games just prepared us for everything else. So we went on and we won the Tournament of Champions that year. We played against Seton Hall in, I think, the semifinals. The Brev was there his senior year because I'm a year behind him. This was 93. We wound up winning. And we went on to win the championship TFC. We finished that year number 2 in the country. We lost 1 game the whole year, and that game was to St. Raymond's in a situation where they kept turning the lights off in the middle of the game. Like, situations going on, they turned the lights off, turn it back on. It was a crazy situation. Coach Hurley ran after the people, almost was a physical fight. It was unbelievable.
So throughout the entire game, they just kept going off, or
kept going on and off, man, on and off. We'd be on the foul line, get ready to shoot foul shots, lights go off. Remember something crazy, like it was the end of the game and the lights went off. Big plays on the foul line. I think somebody missed a shot or something. They didn't let us shoot it over. It was wild. Yeah. It was wild. And that was our only loss the whole year. And honestly, that kept us, I think, from possibly being number 1 in the country. And I mean, I was one of the only ones who, out of that group that was there, who didn't get a chance to win a national championship. And then going into my senior year was all over the place. Again, another summer, All-American camp, AAU, traveling all over the place, traveling all over the country from an AAU standpoint, to hoop groups, camps, just everything. That month of July was a huge time for me because I needed to prepare and get ready for college. I was looking at a bunch of different schools at the time. Georgetown was my dream school, but Allen Iverson and I were the same year. So we were looking at, Georgetown was recruiting me hard, USC, Wyoming, USC, Florida, Georgetown, Fordham. Okay. And Fordham was going into the A-10 for the first, that was going to be their first year.
I was going to ask you that. Okay.
They were going to be their first year. So my dream school again was Georgetown, and I really wanted to go to Georgetown. They offered, I remember John Thompson calling and offering me a scholarship. And then he also said, but I do have to let you know that I have offered Allen Iverson as well. So as high as I was from hearing about the offer, I then was like, because I had played against him at All-American camp. I already knew who he was and how good he was. Not only was the number 1 basketball player in our class, he's the number 1 football player in the country. So I knew that in, Wyoming at the time, they had a guy named Theo Ratliff. I'm thinking, man, I'm an inner city kid. The hell I'm gonna do out in Wyoming? I can't do it out there. As much as I want to go play, and I have a chance to play, USC was just too far. Only child. My family didn't have much money. I knew if I went out there to California, I'm never coming home for any of the bricks. Only time I'm coming home was probably at the end of the year. So I'm saying, I don't know. It's not gonna work. And then I was a mama's boy. So, I'm a mama's boy. I want to be around. I want to get some home-cooked meals. I live next door to my grandparents. I could run next door to my grandma's and get, a nice home-cooked meal anytime I wanted to. I'm stuck out here saying it's not going to happen. Um, Fordham was going into the A10. At the time, the Atlantic 10 was considered the fourth best conference in the country. UMass was number one in the country. They had
Canby there?
Marcus Canby in that in the Spanish backcourt, and they had Calipari coaching. Temple was top 10 in the country. John Chaney was coaching them at the time. You had Rhode Island, who had Lamar Odom there at the time, and they were very good. And they were ranked in the top 15 in the country. You then had Xavier, who had James Posey, who was very, very good. So you had all those teams, and then St. Joe's was very, very good. And, throughout my time at Fordham, St. Joe's almost went to the Final Four. So you had 5 of those teams. Oh, and then, I'm sorry, you had Virginia Tech, who was ranked in the top 10 in the country, and they had Ace Custis. So the A10 was a no-brainer. At my time, it was saying, hey, I talked to Coach Hurley. He's like, well, Billy, listen, nobody had ever left Georgetown early. Do you want to go there and have a chance to play, or do you want to go and sit behind Allen Iverson? I'm like, I don't want to sit behind him, because nobody had left Georgetown early, and I didn't know that he was going to leave or that they would play him off the ball at times. So my thought process after the fact of thinking about, I made the decision to go to Fordham, played there, but after the fact, I always looked at it and said, wow, I played life small. I should have never done it. I should have did what I had always done, gone against the grain, went to Georgetown, went and competed, and saw what happened. If I was as good as I thought I was and competed and played as well as I thought I could, possibly that would have been me now playing with him in the backcourt, and not the situation of what they had where they had moved them off the ball and had the other kid. Because I felt like I was just as good as that other kid, that Tugawanga, something like that, who was now playing in the backcourt with him. So going to Fordham was a great decision. My family was able to get to see me play. I played in a great conference. I was able to get home.
You in the city, everything, yeah.
I'm in the city. We were playing a lot of our home games at Madison Square Garden. So, I mean, man, I can tell you stories for days about just the time at Fordham and, the games and the traveling. And every night it seemed like we were playing against a pro. DeVal went to St. Joe's, so I knew him. Rashawn Palmer was at St. Bonaventure, so I knew him. We were playing against each one of those teams twice. What was it? Duquesne had Mike James, who was a point guard who wound up playing with the Houston Rockets and the Knicks. 6'3" point guard, played in the league for a long time. Dayton had pros on their team. LaSalle had Russell Butler, who played in the NBA for the Miami Heat for a while. So, man, every day we were playing against a pro. So it wasn't like, okay, the A10 is some small league. It was considered to be one of the best. And then just being able to compete in there and play was amazing, man. I mean, just the time that I had and the ability to compete again from high school to compete against the best, to now go to college and say, okay, I'm now going and competing against the best again on a daily basis. And also I'm getting a phenomenal education. And when I come out of here, this degree is going to be able to be put up against anything that anybody has, because now I'm playing basketball. I'm getting a degree from Fordham. It was just, again, at the end of the day, an ideal situation.
Yeah. Did you have any pro aspirations while there?
I did. Obviously, I wasn't good enough to play in the NBA, but I did get a chance to play in Europe for a while. So, coming out of there, it was good. I did have that chance to do it. Basketball allowed me to do a lot of things. It allowed me to go to school free. Eventually, I wanted to go into high school free. Went to college for free. And I was able to see the world playing basketball. So, for me now, in my next phases of what I'm doing in coaching, I always tell these kids, it's basketball, and I, hold the ball in my hand. And I say, man, as a young kid who was not considered to be able to get out of East Orange, this basketball has been able to do a lot of different things for me. See the world, go to school for free, and if you do what you need to do, it can do the same thing for you. But as I preach to these kids, from my coaching days and when I was at East Orange campus, it was just saying, hey, I'm no different than you all. No different than you all. I grew up in some of these same rough areas, but I had a burning desire to get out of the area. I had a burning desire to prove people wrong, to do all the things I needed to do to get out of here. And I used this basketball, and I didn't let, people talk about you don't let the ball use you, you use it. Well, I'm definitely an example of that. I definitely didn't let the ball use me or people use me, because there's plenty of people who out there who want to just use you for your talent. That definitely wasn't what it was for me. It was using that basketball and helping me achieve the goals and dreams that I had. And then having good mentorship and coaching, specifically Coach Hurley from that high school standpoint. And I'd say he was truly like a father figure, but he's truly like a father figure to the kids, to our guys. And his wife, Mrs. Hurley, was as well. Their whole family embraced our team. Some people will say, hey, he doesn't care about you. Well, that may be the experience that they had. That experience that I can say for me and my time there and all the kids that I play with, we all can go about it and say the same thing. He cared about us. He went above and beyond for us. I saw him work hard in terms of whether it was college coaches and different things for me to get to where I needed to be. He stayed on me to make sure I was doing the right thing in the classroom. If I wasn't doing good or he heard that I didn't do good, he would call me and say, hey, you need to get it together, or you won't be playing. As we all know, everybody isn't doing that. Sometimes it's people just want to make sure you're out there to help them win some games. He wasn't that person. I mean, parole officer that he was. For the kids in Jersey City, I know that they would always talk about how he would drive around the city, making sure that they weren't outside late at night. And if they were, you weren't going to be able to play, or he might even suspend you. So, he cared. He really cared because he had seen what the other side of it could be like, where he had been a parole officer for kids' uncles or fathers or brothers. And he didn't want that for the kids that were on the team.
Nah, interesting. And it sounds like even with all that, you took that and dove into not only obviously ultimately coaching, but you did some training too. You got your NBA All-Star somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, my coaches started, my first one that I had was Kimball Walker. I mean, obviously I coached him on the Gauchos, won the first ever Peach Jam championship in Gauchos history. And then, we won back-to-back years. And he was my main, well, I shouldn't even say he was our main player, because he wasn't the star of the team at the time. We had Darryl Bryan, who went to West Virginia. We had Jordan Theodore, who was at Seton Hall, Durant Scott, who went to Miami. We had 2 McDonald's All-Americans when it was all said and done, but a couple other top 30 players in the country. So Kimball was one, and then I have the other one, Tremont Waters, who started out when he was in 6th grade, and he played for my team. I had him play on my 16 and under team as a 12-year-old. He was special. I used to tell people that from when he was a young kid, this kid's going to be a pro. This kid's going to be a pro. I've never seen anybody who can do the things that he was able to do, being able to catch and shoot it off the dribble, shoot it from deep. And he had such a high basketball IQ at such a young age. And you couldn't take the ball from him. You picture this kid is 12. We're traveling around the country playing against the best teams in the country on the AAU circuit. And he's just out there being able to do what he wants to do. Physicality part got in the way at times, but nobody took the ball away from him, did anything. We wound up winning the Gaucho tournament 16 and under championship. And I remember playing him the last minute and a half of that game. And one of the reasons I did that is because in practice, I knew that he didn't miss foul shots. He made probably 5 or 6 foul shots down the stretch where we were up and they had to foul. So I knew that putting the ball in his hands, he'd go to the foul, I'd be able to make it. I'd sub him out on the defensive end. We play some defense, I might put him right back in, get in, we get the ball, they'd be fouled. So he was a good one, man. He was a good one.
Absolutely. Then you get a shot to come back to where you grew up at, man, and coach over there. How was that, just getting that opportunity?
For me at the time, it was like a dream come true. Again, as I talked about, my family had come through East Orange. A lot of them went to East Orange High School. All my family went to East Orange High School and had successful careers. So for me being able to come back and now be able to be the coach of what was considered East Orange, I knew the pride that East Orange had. I wanted to bring back those glory days of when they talked about that, EO Express and having them and getting those people involved and making sure that the alumni were coming back and being involved in the team and being around and doing all those things. So for me, I took it really, really serious, because when I took over the team, they had won 2 games the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying, first of all, I got to have the right people around me. I can't have yes sir people. I need people who can help me navigate through this, that are going to be able to teach like I'm going to be able to teach. And then we got to identify and find the right kids.
Mm-hmm.
My first year, we were there again. It was, people trying to figure it out, understand, who am I? They're hearing these stories about me, meeting the kids. They don't know me, but they're hearing, okay, he's an East Orange product. He's an East Orange guy. He went to St. Anthony's, blah, 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 all those different things. Then I had people who were saying he's not originally from East Orange. He didn't go to East Orange High on Cleveland Sky. He's not from around here. He's an outsider. I'm saying, what y'all talking about, man? I'm born and raised here. Everything I did until I went to high school. Going into that first year, we worked extremely hard with those kids. We did everything we needed to do. Changing the culture was what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make sure that we were teaching on a daily basis. We were changing the culture and the mindset that, okay, you can win, and that you got to do it. But we needed to have discipline as well. Discipline and structure. A lot of times they didn't have that. Those were 2 of the other main things that I wanted to instill. I had a kid on the team that in the years before wasn't that successful academically, and I wanted to give him a chance. So on the team, we instilled something called, it was a study hall that I had. And I had coaches within the school telling me you'll never be able to win with the kids who are smart. If they're not failing classes and not doing well, you're never going to win with the other kids. You got to find those kids and have those kids to play on team. Like, serious? This is the only way that you can win around here? Like, this is the mindset? Like, this can't be true. This just can't be true. We did a study hall. We had that, and every kid needed to make it. So I had this one kid. He was our best player. His name was Kevin Carter at the time. Kevin Carter came to every study hall, came to every individual workouts that we had, all of the different things that we were doing. He was there. When it came time for the progress reports to come out, even the kid he was cutting the 7th, 8th, and 9th period every day. Mm-hmm. Every day. So I had to make a decision. What do I do? And I made the decision to put him off the team. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that was I needed to show the other kids that this wasn't going to be the way that it was, how it had been in the past, where this was okay. Right. We needed to make sure that, because my goal was to help these young kids get to college. I wanted them to do what I did, use this basketball to help them get to college. I didn't care whether it was Division 1, 2, or 3. I knew what the importance of that college degree would mean for a lot of these kids. Most of their families, nobody had gone to college. So they needed something to aspire towards. So we put them off the team. We didn't have the most successful season, but we went from, I think, 2 wins to, I think it was 15 wins my first year, I believe. Okay. I believe that's what it was, 15 wins. I wound up getting Essex County Coach of the Year. We wound up, pretty successful season in the books of everybody else. In my eyes, it was just okay, but we had made a major turnaround. Mm-hmm. I knew that I was going to have all of these kids coming back the following year. What I did was I went to the East Orange PAL, talked to them about, trying to be a part of what we could do. I had already been being involved with, one of my coaches was the protection for the mayor of East Orange. And my other assistant coach was the detail for the chief of police. So I wanted to make sure we had the police involved with the program as well, some of the mayor, but I also was trying to show these kids that there was something a little different than what they just knew in just the streets, and seeing it. The East Orange PAL got involved with us. And what they did is they paid for us to go to AAU tournaments and different things. So I was able to keep my whole team together the whole summer, get somebody to coach them for me because I couldn't coach in the summer. And they took them around and kept them together, and they played as a group the whole time. Mm-hmm. We played out in this park called Hamilton Park in Jersey City. Okay. We did really, really well in that league, playing against, like, you had St. Anthony's, you had St. Pat's, you had the different teams that were there. that were top teams in the state. All of those kids continued to get better. We had what was considered, I would think, even from a public school standpoint, the perfect group. We had a 6'5" kid. We had eventually that next year, a 6'6" kid who had transferred into the school. Talk about him. We then had a very good point guard in Denzel Banks. We had another good kid who could score, Marquise Kendall. And then I had a shooter who was one of the tops in the state, in Jordan Taylor. So I had pieces at every position, and I had size to protect the rim. At the public school standpoint, that's all you need. If you got a little bit of all of that, you're gonna win a lot of games. So we came back, and it was start of that second year. And I had a girl come up to me, and it was right before our tryouts, and she said to me, Coach, is it okay for my boyfriend to try out for the team? Heard this story before, man. I'm like, yeah, your boyfriend can try out for the team. It's no big deal. Sure. Absolutely. There's already 80, 90 kids in the gym. I got an idea who I want anyway, because we got everybody return.
Right.
Well, this kid just happens to be by the name his name was Aaron. Can't remember the last name. And he happened to be originally from New York. And this was his girlfriend. Somehow he had moved to Jersey, East Orange. He had enrolled in school, and he was coming to tryouts. He was the missing piece that we didn't have before. Again, he was a 6'6" kid. He could hit the short-range jump shot. He could catch it at the foul line, jab step, you put it on the floor, get to the rim and finish with either hand. He could play above the rim, and he was really, really athletic. So now, not only did I have the other big kid who protected the rim, I had this kid as well who could now be a problem for other fours out there. And he could score to go along with my other good guards that I had. Now we really had the perfect team. Our first game of the season, we played against Patterson Eastside, who was ranked in the state. And we were playing them in the hoop group event. Nobody gave us a chance. But we knew that we had played against really, really good competition all summer. We had done really well. I felt like they didn't take us serious because the coach knew nothing about us. He came up to me before the game. He's like, hey, man, good luck to your team. We'll try to take it easy on you. And I laughed about it because I'm saying, this guy really has no clue about our team. I've scouted them. I've done everything I needed. We're really, really prepared. But we played St. Anthony's. We played Hudson Catholic. We played the Patrick School. At the time, it was St. Pat's. We played Bergen Catholic. We've been competitive. He doesn't understand what he's in for.
Right.
And we wound up being up, and we lost that game on a buzzer beater from half court. We were playing a 1-3-1 zone, got them to lose the ball, and all of a sudden this kid called. It was probably like 5 seconds left. He came across half court, and he just threw the ball up. And it went in, and we lost by 1. And from that point on, people took us serious. We got as high as number 10 in the state that year. We wound up going down and losing in the county championship to Seton Hall Prep in a really, really good game. They had the Gibbs kid who went to Notre Dame.
Okay, yes.
I think it was TJ. And that was one of the best games I had ever seen. Denzel Banks scored 30 points in the third quarter to get us right back in the game. And it was a dogfight, man. I remember it was a bang play. That could have been a block charge. I was damn near across half court screaming at the official because I had already felt like, things were going that way towards Seton Hall. Calls were going that way. And this one was such a bang. TJ went to the basket. And I thought it was a charge. They called a block. I think we wound up losing that game by 5 or 6, something like that, in the county championship. It was a close game. The whole city came out. They were really, really there. And then, and again, as it goes back to what I said in the beginning about watching the Essex County tournament, dreaming of being in that Essex County tournament. For me now was, okay, I didn't play in it as a player, but now I'm here as a coach. And that experience of everything that I thought it was everything. Because we were now down at Essex County College. The place was packed. You had all of the different fans that were coming from different places that were coming to watch the game, just as they would do back in the day. We had the whole city out. I mean, all the old timers with their jackets and all that, all the 70s. And because now this is how big it was for them. To now have that chance to be back in the county championship. It had been years since then. East Orange campus had never been to the county championship, but also it had been years that since East Orange had been in the county championship, any team. So taking on all of that and having that, and I just felt like, for me, I was carrying this torch for the city because it meant so much to me to be a part of that.
Right.
We wound up losing that game, and then we had to make another run, and we got to the state championship. We played that same Patterson Eastside team that we lost to in the first game of the season. We wound up playing them again. Along that line, we wound up beating Teaneck, who was very good during the year. We beat them that year, knocked them off. They were ranked. We wound up beating Westside, who was really good at the time, and was ranked in the state. And then we wound up going again. We made it to the state championship, and we hosted it at East Orange campus. Rocking, packed, sold out, lines, long lines to get into the games. For me, again, it was feeling like St. Anthony's all over again. Coming in the gym, seeing all these people out there waiting to get in the game, not able to get in there. And then from the jump ball, you had the DJs going. I mean, this place was crazy. And then just the atmosphere of walking out before the game to go shake hands with the other coach and then sit down. It just, the whole adrenaline that you got to get made me feel like I was ready to play. Kids were there. They were ready. Again, another situation, just never forget as a coach. Up 2 with 10 seconds left. I got my point guard on the line. He's a 90% free throw shooter. I turn around to my coaches and say, it's over, man. It's over. We about to win our first state championship. We're up 2 with a two-shot foul. He goes up and misses the first one. I'm like, all right, it's all good, Jeff. You fine. Everything's going to be all right. He's been solid, thinking he's definitely going to make this one. But now as a player, I'm thinking, now that pressure is coming. Because if he makes that first one, you feel good. You don't feel the pressure on the second one as much. But if you miss that first one, now that pressure is real. He missed the second one. Oh, man, he missed the second one. And they wound up coming down. We had a timeout. They called a timeout. They wound up scoring a layup that sent it to overtime. I'm saying, why you didn't knock the kid down? Why you just let him go lay the ball in? Like, don't make him make the foul shots as well. You just, I didn't want to foul. Okay, no problem. And then the momentum had changed because now they had fought back to get into the game. We were up. They make those foul shots. We go into overtime. We lose. And they go on and win the state championship. And that one was the end. It was like, oh, man, I thought that we were going to do something that people didn't think we were going to do. Our next game would have been against Linden. And at that time, Linden wasn't as good as they were, a few years later. We had a shot to make it potentially to the Tournament of Champions. We really, really did. And this is where I always talk about Coach Hurley used to always say things to us like the little things win and lose games for you. Foul shots, turnovers, and rebounds. He never would say it would be shots that you had to make during the game. He would always say the little things, the little things, the little things. And I would preach that every day to the kids. And after the game when we lost, gave everybody a hug. But I would say to them, I always told you what? And they said, the little things will win and lose games for you. And what lost this one for us? The foul shots. And maybe that wasn't the only thing. But if we made those foul shots, we secured the game. We make both of those. There's no foul. We weren't going to foul on a three-point shot. We can move out the way. They can make a layup. Clock keeps running in high school. We're out the game. It's over. So that would hurt. But we had accomplished a lot of great things that year. One of the best teams in school history. We won 25 games. We went 25-4. But one of the biggest things that I loved about that year was we had something that was on the front page of the Star Ledger. And it was called Books Over Basketball, One Study Hall at a Time. And it wasn't on the sports page of the Star Ledger. It was on the front page of the Star Ledger. And it was just talking about what we were able to do and how I was changing that culture of those kids. And they were able to see the bigger picture of everything. And now kids were going on to school and going to college and being successful. We had probably, I think, like 8 out of the 11 kids on the honor roll. It was good, Evan. I mean, it was good. I mean, I was seeing that we were actually doing something good. Everybody was coming out. The city was extremely happy. They were behind the kids. And it wasn't just because of a basketball thing. It was because now they were becoming those really good kids that now when they were walking around, I was helping them get jobs in the city. People knew them. Everything was going in the right way. Everything was going the right way. Again, I got Essex County Coach of the Year. So now I had got it back-to-back years. Things were going great. And then it came into the next year. And I feel like as good as it was from there, as great as it went crashing down just as fast.
Nah, and obviously he's about to just talk about the whole East Orange thing, man. Like after that following year, like what went down? I mean, I know it's been some time removed from this, like, and like the Cliff Note version, like what went down?
Well, we don't need the Cliff Note version. I'll tell you the honest version.
Okay.
We had a guy on the team by the name of Billy Diamond. He was an assistant coach. He was a guy who had he had introduced to me since I was a young kid. He was told to me then about bringing him on. He used to be at St. Benedict's. Rashawn McLeod, who I was very close with in high school, said, hey, you should give Billy a shot. Okay, no problem. Bring him on. What Billy was doing was befriending a lot of the kids whose families were not around.
Okay.
Buy kids sneakers, take kids to get food, have them over his house, take kids to the beach. A lot of things that I didn't know was going on behind the scenes. Yeah, he was part of my coaching staff. I didn't know. He was there with the kids. A lot of things he was doing that, again, I didn't feel comfortable with. Also, Billy wanted the job. He wanted to be the head coach all of a sudden. So a lot of things that was going on, a lot of crazy things that was being said. He was consistently sending messages as anonymous to the NJSIAA. He was sending things also to the Board of Ed. And the kids were telling me too that was coming. So I was forwarding everything over to the coaches, to the Board of Education, and letting them know that this was him sending. So going back to that year before, was that year or the year or the third? No, the third year was that the one kid who came in from New York, his name was Aaron. Remember I told you that he was introduced to me by his girlfriend the day of tryouts.
Right.
So if you know anything about public schools, obviously in order to get into a public school, somebody has to go and sign you up to go to school, or someone has to register you to go to a public school. It's not like the Catholic school where it doesn't matter as a guardian, you can do all this. Somebody's got to go over to that Board of Education, somebody's got to register the kid, and somebody's got to give an address as to where this person specifically lives. So from what I had understood, this kid lived with this girl. Never met the kid before until that day of the tryout. Didn't know who he was, had no idea. Billy Lovett didn't recruit him, didn't do any of those things, had nothing to do with this kid at all. Showed up, came, played during the year. One time, I think it was in February, at some point in February, I get a call from that assistant coach, Billy Diamond, saying, hey, I'm putting Aaron out of my house. Now my next question is, what do you mean you're putting him out of your house? And why is he at your house? And why didn't I know about him being at your house? Well, he got into a fight with his girlfriend's mother and they put him out of the house. Well, how long has he been there with you?
Right.
Just a day or two, but we're not getting along and I'm putting him out. This is a Sunday night. My 7-year-old son at the time was a baby, probably 6 months old or something like that. So now I got to go to my wife and say, hey, I got this kid who's being put out the house. Now I'm preaching all this family togetherness, all these different things that we're doing, successful stuff. We're on the front page of the Star Ledger, all these different things. She says, have them bring them over here to our house tonight. Monday morning, meaning the next day, when you take him to school, you go in and you go tell the principal, you go tell the athletic director, you tell everybody everything that's going on to try to figure what can be done from here. So it's snow outside. The kid comes to my house with one garbage bag of clothes. Never knew all this stuff. Again, he's living where he was living before, at this girl's house, moved over from New York, different things. I then take him the next day and I take him to school I go in and see the principal. I tell him of the situation. I tell the athletic director, who was Abdul Hassan. I then tell Miss Ramsey, Thelma Ramsey, of the situation. Everybody is very, very supportive, saying, I understand you've done the right job, right thing. It's okay for him to stay there with you until we can figure out when he's going back to his house. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows there's nothing hidden, nothing about it. Eventually now, he leaves my house and he goes back to the girlfriend's house where he was originally staying. They work it out. The mother says he can come back. He goes there. But all along the time, school administrators have now bought clothes for this kid, whether it's underwear, whether it's t-shirts, whether it's sweaters, whether it's pants, whatever it is, they've donated and given this kid clothes, because now I'm saying, hey, this kid's got one garbage bag of clothes. Everybody knows, and now they're supportive. Okay. Billy Diamond now, throughout that summer, is telling the state and everybody that I recruited this kid from New York, and that I recruited him and had him living in my house for the whole year. That was the story of how he portrayed it.
Yeah.
And that now I was breaking the rules by having this kid living in the house with me. My side of this was, I didn't break any rules. I did what any coach that was supposed to do for their kid. What am I supposed to do? Let this kid be out on the street? I'm going to let him be out there, know where to go. When I'm preaching this the way that I've been preaching all along, I've gone to every school member that's of authority to me and told them, as well as the Board of Education, as well as city council members. Again, remember, the city knew, or the city was behind us. We had the mayor, we had the city council, we had all these different people who were part of things that we were doing. So I told different people about what was going on, and everybody helped out to try to support this kid. Well, he continued to write these notes. He continued to send things anonymously to the board, to the NGSIA. Eventually, they sent the letter to East Orange saying, hey, we want to do an investigation of the program, of what's going on. I welcomed the investigation, because now I said, okay, I told everybody everything. So I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book in regards to this. We can write it down. We can talk. We can do however you want to do it. But I got nothing to hide, because I've told everybody about everything that's going on. So what is it that they want to investigate? Went from there. Eventually, the board said that Board of Education East Orange said they were going to suspend me because I had the kid live in the house with me, and that was against the rules. My question was, well, I told everybody the next day. Nobody told me that this was wrong. They said, keep him there until we find what we can do for this kid and get him into housing or something. They originally said they were suspending me for 2 games. It then came out to be 5 games. So when we had a meeting, they were going from that point. They were saying, hey, we're going to suspend you with pay. It's almost like it's like a vacation, just hanging out. You just can't come around the gym. You can't be around the team. You can't have any contact with the team. All right, no problem. I had good people in place. Then it wound up being,
does my man coach while in your absence?
No, I got rid of him.
Okay.
I got rid of him before the season started. So this is going in. So at the time, all of these things were being brought to our attention from the players about him taking kids to different places, buying this, doing these different things, to the point where we thought he was potentially like a pedophile. I got police officers on my staff. Mm-hmm. The guy was being investigated by the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. He's being investigated by the East Orange Police Department for these different things. They had taken kids' phones to check the messages, all of this different stuff to see. We really thought he was a potential pedophile. So I had let him go, because I can't afford having any problems like that on staff. But it was just too many alarming things that were going on for us to have that, to keep him around. They didn't allow any of my staff to be a part of the team. Not only did they say I couldn't coach, but all my volunteer coaches, which was the 2 police officers, they couldn't be a part of the team either. So they wanted to bring in, I guess, the freshman coach to coach the team. Mm-hmm. I was suspended for the first 5 games. Didn't coach, didn't do anything. When I came back, my whole mindset and thought process to the whole situation was totally different because I had given sweat, blood, and tears, as you would say, to the city of East Orange from as I was a little kid to what I had done for this program over the 2 years before to where we were to having stuff on the front page of the East Orange, front page of Star Ledger, to also doing all of the different things in the community with these kids and just myself to now have this happening. I felt like it was just like a stab in my back, man. That's what I felt. I had such a bitter taste in my mouth. I came back, I coached, I did everything I needed to do. We then were successful. We had a pretty successful season. We made it to the semifinals of the state tournament. We lost in the semifinals of the county tournament, the east side that year. So again, we were top 4 in the county. I had lost all my main players, and we had it rolling again. And then we knocked off a couple teams. We wound up beating. We were a 12 seed that year going into the states because I wasn't there to coach early. We lost a bunch of games. We beat 3 teams in the states, and then we wound up playing Linden in the semifinals. And before that game, that Linden game, my wife said to me, she said, well, you might as well, this is going to be your last game coaching. Like, I can't see you with the stress on you anymore. Everything that you've done and all the things you did, I just can't see you stressed out over this anymore. The different things that was going on. And I was like, well, we might win. It's like, well, she was thinking about it from a different standpoint. It was a Saturday game. We wound up losing. And that Monday, I called the AD first thing in the morning. He was the old coach Hodges. He was actually the AD at the time. I called him and I just said, hey, man, listen, I just want to give you a heads up that I'm going to resign. And he was like, what do you mean you're resigning? You just had another successful year, blah, blah. But in my mind, what I didn't want to happen was to allow them to now take me through the ringer again as what I had gone through that whole summer in the beginning of the year. That picture as a public school coach, it's year to year. They can get rid of you at any time they want. If they just want to say they want to go in a different direction, they just say they want to go in a different direction and find another coach. Doesn't have to be for anything specific. So for me, I just said, you know what? It's time for me to step away. And I walked away from it. And had never been back to a game since. Never. It's funny. I've never gone back into East Orange campus to watch a game. Have no intention to, from a boys' standpoint. Just have such a bitter taste in my mouth from how everything went. And then even some of the people who I thought were close to me, even were just, oh yeah, maybe he did do that, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah. Y'all know my character. You were around the program. You saw everything that I did. You saw everything and how we built this. I'm not doing this to win some games, man. I'm trying to do what I need to do to help a kid and a family. And I'm showing everybody these text messages that this guy has. I mean, there was 10 to 12 messages being just crazy messages that I'm physically showing people and texting it to the administrators and saying, look at this. This is what he's sending. Look at the messages that he's sending over to different places and different people. This is it. This is him. You see it. So again, at the end of the day, man, I walked away from it. And I haven't looked back. And the funny thing is, my girls' high school team is going to play East Orange campus tomorrow. Okay. It's the first time that I've ever done anything with East Orange. We're actually going to play them at the Prudential Center. But from a boys' standpoint, I never have gone back. Never. And really have no intention of going back in there to see a game.
Nah, understandably so. I mean, again, especially it's not like you were out of towner, you know what I mean, just with everything going down. So no, I totally get it. Yeah, good, man. So no, I appreciate you just even sharing what went down over there, man, because I know you hear this and that, people write what they want to write and people talk what they want. So I really appreciate that, man. What I wanted to ask,
one other thing is, a lot of people, like you said, talked and said a lot of different things in regards to it. I was never suspended by the NJSIAA. I was never found guilty of anything by the NJSIAA at any point. So, the suspension came strictly from the East Orange Board of Education, not as if it was a recommendation from the state or anything like that. So, no.
Nah, definitely, man. And I know again, even like you just said before, man, just that being home, you know what I mean? Just kind of it hits different. It hits
Correct.
different with the whole process and the outcome and so I know definitely it hits different. But let me ask you this in regards to kind of switching a little bit,
Yeah.
like just with sports, whether it's growing up, playing, coaching, everything, man. What sticks with you to this day as far as what sports is giving you?
Uh, I mean, through sports, I learned a lot. I mean, teamwork, and taught me how to, work in teams from a situation now in a workforce, competition, competitiveness.
Hmm.
Um, I was always competitive from a young age, young kid from when I started playing at the age of 6, and then just work ethic. Um, I always had a strong work ethic, and I always felt like it has translated into what I do today, and pushing me to that point of always wanting to outwork the next person and trying to be the best.
Hmm. Nah, definitely, man. And then usually on the back end, man, I just ask like straightforward questions, have some fun on the back end. You good to go with it?
Let's go.
Cool. Jersey guy, man. Parkway or the Turnpike? What you prefer?
Turnpike.
Turnpike. All right. Uh, sandwiches or Jimmy Buffs?
Sandwiches. I live not too far from sandwiches.
What you getting?
I'm getting that hot pastrami and cheese.
Okay. Air Forces Nike Dunks.
I ain't know anything about Nike Dunks back in the day. It was strictly Air Force Ones.
Okay. Okay. When you're not coaching, not doing anything, man, like what do you do?
Spend some time with the family, as much time as I possibly can. Coaching takes me away. A lot of time, during the season, I'm gone. When I leave the house in the morning, I'm leaving this house by 8 a.m. and I'm probably not getting back in the house by 10.
Yeah.
So if I can have some time, that's off, it's a matter of spending time with the family, doing different things in that standpoint.
Hmm. I'm not sure if your TV game is up though, but Power or BMF?
Power. I like
Okay.
Power, and I also like the Power spinoff.
Which
Uh,
one? Which one you messing with on the spinoffs?
Ghost, the one with Tariq.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know.
so
Okay,
was it
yeah.
Ghost 2 or something like that?
Yeah.
That's the one I've been, caught up watching. I haven't really watched too much of the other show that you mentioned.
Okay. Now, what does Coach Hurley mean to you?
And to me, Coach Hurley was like another father figure.
Hmm.
The things that he was able to do for me in my life, the way he impacted my household and impacted me in such a positive way. And when my mom and dad were in a situation from a drug situation, I was in college and found out about it.
Hmm.
I picked the phone up and called Coach Hurley, and Coach Hurley helped my mom and dad get into a rehab center within 2 days. So to me, I mean, that man means the world to me.
Yeah.
How he helped me not only as a basketball player, but what he did for my family to help my family. So he's like another
Uh,
father. And when I started coaching at Mars Catholic, he was the first one who came out, did a coaching clinic for me.
mm.
He also was the first person who helped with our golf event. And he never asked you for anything. It's just a matter of, where do I need to be and what time.
Yeah, that says a lot, man. I mean, just and again, just the man that he is. I know. I got to see Danny because I'm in Connecticut, so
Okay.
yeah. So I know I actually saw him. He was going to one of his son's games, and as a tournament, this a couple of years before pandemic hit, and I know he talked about how his dad was just up there, like So just this the type of man Coach Hurley is, man. Like I said, you guys are extensions of his immediate family, man, and it sounds like he just holds everybody down.
Absolutely. And, everybody can't say that about their coaches. When you're not able to bounce the ball for them or win some games for them, sometimes they don't have any time for you. I
Hmm.
personally could never say that in regards to Coach Hurley in terms of my opinion and, my interaction with him. Again, he's been a phone call away from me in terms of anything that I needed or was trying to ask him to do. So I really appreciate it. And again, he's impacted my life since I was, I don't know, 14 years old up to now when I'm 45. So, and I haven't dribbled a basketball for him since 1994. So I appreciate everything that he and his family has done for me.
Nah, definitely. So this one here, Mom, you might have answered it, but Fordham or St. Anthony's?
St. Anthony's all day.
Best team you ever been on in your life? Any sport, whatever the case was, best team you ever been on?
St. Anthony's, 1993, number 2 in the country. Lost 1 game.
Mm-hmm. Best game you ever played? Any sport? Anything sticks out to you?
State championship game my junior year when I was MVP of the state tournament.
Okay.
State championship game. So
what you do that game? Was it just the getting a W and just what it was?
I mean, the W always was great, but obviously, having a chance to win MVP of that with the talent that we had on our team, it was just a great accomplishment, and something that no one ever could take away from you. Again, it was something that when we talked about early on, people talking about, oh, he'll never play there. Well, not only did I play and be a main piece of the puzzle, I was a MVP of the state tournament, state championship game. So some people never even get to that game, but the fact to even have a chance to be the MVP of it, go down in their history books, and be a part of such a great group of players, teams, and one of the best teams to ever go down in St. Anthony's history.
Mm-hmm. Is there a game at any point in your life? I mean, I know the W's we remember, we remember those L's. Is anything, a game you like to have back, whether it's a coach or a player?
As a coach, I would love to have the Patterson Eastside game back, state championship.
Okay.
East Orange. As a player, nothing really as a player. Obviously, I'd love to win that game as a sophomore, my sophomore year when we lost to Marist. But no, I can't say anything as a player, specific game that I'd like to have back. There's a lot of good ones, and you have some bad ones too. Personally as well as a team.
Now, being over there, seeing some of the older St. Anthony players and the current ones come through those gyms, whether it's the Army or wherever else they were playing. Man, what's your all-time starting 5 St. Anthony's?
I mean, it's hard. I'm old. I'm a little older. I don't know all the younger guys as well, but obviously, Roderick Rhodes, Bobby Hurley. Got to throw Kyle Anderson in there. That's 3, right? I just said 3.
3.
I played with one of the great players in Jalil Roberts, and I also played with Rashawn McLeod. So, I have to throw those 2 in there. Jalil is the all-time leading scorer. I mean, he owns the game for the most points in one game. I think he had 44. One out in California at the Above the Rim Classic, and I was one of the people passing him the ball. So I got a great, firsthand look at what he did in that game. So I would have to say, I guess I'd say Bobby, Jalil, Rashawn, Rod, and Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned Jalil with the 44 there. Is usually you don't get over 20. You barely, usually Coach Hurley must have just let him go that day.
No, he always was let go. I mean, Jalil was special.
Yeah.
He's about a 6'5", 6'6" lefty.
Lefty,
two guard. He could flat out shoot that ball. He was athletic. He could really, really play. He got real hot that game. I forget exactly who we were playing, but I remember it was a semifinals game in that tournament my junior year. So I'll never forget that effort that he put forward. It was amazing.
And he a North guy.
Absolutely, Mount Vernon. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah. Now, you've seen a whole lot of basketball throughout your life, man. Who's best high school player you've seen?
That I've seen? Man, I guess Roderick Rhodes.
Okay.
I had a chance to play with him and watch him. I remember us playing against Jerry Stackhouse my sophomore year. That was Rod's senior year. We had beat a team from North Carolina, not by a lot, probably about 8 or 9. And Coach Hurley was talking about how we need to be scared. And this grown man named Jerry Stackhouse is going to kill us and blah, blah, blah. Now as a coach, I understand exactly what he was doing. It was the mental aspect of the game that he was trying to, prepare us for. And I'll never forget Rod coming and telling everybody, just relax. Young boy's not going to do anything. I'll take care of everything. And put on a show. I think it was one of his career highs. And it was like Jerry Stackhouse who, in regards to that, At the time, Rob was either the number 1 or 2 best player in the country between him or Jason Kidd. So the things that he was able to do, from handling the ball and shooting at his size, wasn't many able to do that at that time.
Right.
So, I mean, him. Now, probably one of the best that I ever played against was Brevin Knight.
Brev, yeah.
You know, growing up, spent a lot of time with Brev. Bev was over my house. I was over his house. Spent a lot of time. You know, we played AAU together, just talking, picking his brain, and, you know, just trying to understand how he attacked things. Quickest guy ever, you know, in terms of his hands and stealing the ball. I remember us playing against teams in New York, whether it was against the Gauchos, and him saying, "Hey, I got Stephon," or us playing against some of the other teams, or whoever it was. He always took the best player. And our backcourt at that time was myself, Shaheen Holloway, and Brevin Knight.
And that was what you guys played with the Road Runners, or y'all was
played with the Road Runners? Yep.
Yeah, nah. Brev is special, man.
Special. Yes, he is. Special.
Yeah. Nah, definitely. Somebody, however you want to define made it, but somebody who should have made it.
Man, there's lots of kids who should have made it coming out of East Orange.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was plenty of people who grew up with me that were probably better than me. Just fell victim to the streets. You know, I don't like to say names of anybody specific, but there's plenty of, you know, guys that were really, really good that I felt that just fell victim to the streets.
Yeah. You feel you got your just due?
Yeah. I feel like I got everything that I needed to get out of this game of basketball. That basketball owes me nothing. It has done plenty for me, you know, and hopefully it'll do some more for, you know, my family, my young sons, and things like that.
Yeah, speaking of your sons, best part about being a father?
I get to be dad. You know, I get to be dad. I get to watch. You know, whether it's my son Dante, who's the oldest, watching him play in his football games, just going there and being there, trying to talk him through the process, the recruiting process. I had to learn the football recruiting process as well, because it's different than basketball. You know, as he was going through it starting this year, and just understanding, you know, why am I never talking to the head coach? Why am I not talking to his actual position coach? I'm talking to somebody who's the running back coach, or, you know, somebody else who's not his position, and understanding why is this and how does this work, until somebody explained it to me. I believe it was the assistant coach from West Virginia that explained that it just happened to be that's the area that they're recruiting. So, you know, now those were the people who were going to do the initial contacts. And then now all of a sudden we were speaking to the position coaches and things like that. So just being able to advise him through the process, and also telling him to enjoy the process. Lots of kids don't get to go through this. Lots of kids, you know, play football and never have a chance to play Division I or ever get a college Division I scholarship, Power 5. So enjoy that process. Don't treat it as a business as of yet. It'll turn into that eventually. And then with my youngest son, who's 7, little Billy, it's just a matter of, you know, going to the events, whether it is the clinics or different things like that. I like to just be dad. I can sit down, I get to watch him, I get to talk to him about what he needs to do and how he needs to go about it. You know, not so much being involved as the coach. Now I got to worry about everybody and everything. I'm doing enough coaching at the high school level. So just to be able to spend that time, and then, you know, the rides home from whether it's his football practices or basketball practices, and being able to talk about how he did and, you know, how he competed on a daily basis is great. And I guess the other part is watching the interaction between the kids. You know, my youngest son, who's 7, when he finishes his football practice or something, he wants to get on the phone and call his big brother and tell him how good he did, and tell him what he did today, or if he got rocked by somebody in practice, or he rocked somebody, he wants to show the videos and tell him because he looks up to him. So seeing all of those things is special. And then, you know, my 2 daughters, my oldest daughter is a sophomore in college at Morgan State. So just watching her growth, watching the different things that she's going through at school, and talking to her about it and enjoying those different things. And then the 3-year-old is just like today, just playing. Dad, can we play catch? Can you read this book to me? Can you just come over here and give me a hug? Can you just hang out? You know, all of the little things, man, and just, you know, being a dad and enjoying those times.
How are you in the stands as a dad? How?
I didn't understand. Say that again.
No, how are you in the stands watching your kids? How are you?
Sometimes quiet, sometimes a little more, into the games. When I watch Dante, a lot of his games are on TV. So I'm able to watch games that I couldn't make this year, and I made probably half of his 8 games. I made 5 games this year out of the 8. The other 3 I was able to watch on TV, and they were out of state, whether it's Virginia or somewhere down south. So I'm yelling at the TV. I'm watching him as a DB. Pissed that they never throw the ball at him. They won't challenge him. So, and then with BJ, it's a little different. We're trying to sit there and we watch, but also just telling him, come on, be more aggressive. Great job. More really encouraging, and also just trying to teach as much as possible.
Nah, good stuff, man. Let's at this point, I mean, we got a whole lot living to do, God willing, man. But three of the best moments of your life up to this point.
The birth of my kids, getting married to my wife, and then I guess the other one was basketball experiences. Getting the Division I scholarship was one, I guess, for me, because as a young kid coming out of East Orange off of Amherst Street, I didn't know whether I was going to be able to make it. Am I going to make it out of here? Am I going to really, is all the hard work that I'm doing, is it going to pay off? Am I going to be able to get out of this environment? Because many people said they didn't. Like I said, there was many people who fell victim to the streets for whatever reason, did not make it out. So, getting that scholarship. And then I guess the last one was getting my college degree from Fordham. Something that nobody could ever take away from me, and knowing that I could put that degree up against anything and say, no one could ever take this away from me.
Nah, definitely. Wrote a book on your life. What would you call it?
I made it out of the hood.
Yeah. Okay. And we on chapter 45 right now, right?
We on chapter 45.
That's all right.
Plenty of chapters to write in there. Made it out. So.
No, most definitely, man. At this point in your life, what would you give that senior year, Billy? What advice would you give him?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew what I knew now as a senior in high school. Trust the process, enjoy the process, stay humble, stay focused, continue to always work hard. Don't play life short. Take advantage of that opportunity at Georgetown.
Yeah. This one here, man, what would your parents say about you now, man?
Being that both my mother and father are deceased, I think that, and I lost them at a younger age, I think that they were both, and I'm an only child. So, I look back at it and, if they could watch the success that I had, more from a coaching standpoint, and seeing that the man that I've grown up to be, the lifestyle that I'm able to live now, the blessings that I have, the ability to give back to others, the different things that we're able to do, and just be around, their grandkids. I think they would be very proud of the young man that I have turned out to be. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it, but my mother and father were both, on drugs. So at times things were really rough around the household. So, for them to see how I've grown up to be and, how successful, and that was another reason why people would always say, he probably is never going to make it. Odds are stacked against him. He'll possibly go into that lifestyle, or things just won't pan out for him. So I know that they're looking down at me, and I truly believe that, very proud of the man that I've become.
Nah, definitely, man. My last one here was, what's on deck?
Right now, it's just a matter of focusing on, coaching this team. I got a really special young team this year. Probably my best team that I've ever had at Morris Catholic at the time. I just won my 200th game, which was at the end of last season. So my focus, I appreciate it. My focus this year is to win the county. We won the conference every year, so it's to win the county and to win a state championship with this young team. I want to do something that probably has never been done. I don't know if 5 freshmen have ever won a state championship. So I want to accomplish something like that this year.
Now, more Catholic is it parochial A or B?
Parochial B.
Okay. Okay.
So parochial B will have to beat Saddle River Day
Mm-hmm.
to win the state championship.
Hey, let's get to it.
Listen, we'll be prepared every day. We'll go at it about the same way. Try not to overlook any team. Prepare one game at a time, and I keep the kids just focused, and we go at it.
Nah, definitely, definitely. And Bill, I want to say this. I know you talked about just now, even your parents looking down on you here, but you know how many people look up to you, looking up at you. As far as not only the girls that you coaching, people that came into your life and everything else, man. Like you've been a staple for a lot of people here, and I'm sure you get those calls. And I think even I'm sure the player and playing any and everywhere has been great too. But just to hear somebody reach out and probably say "coach" means a whole lot to you. Probably just as much as somebody saying "dad." But I knew even before, as far as just you just going out the box, as you mentioned earlier, in regards to just making some decisions that put you in better positions. And you've always done that, and as talented as you are, you're always smart too. You know what I mean? So I think it all lined up here for you, man. And I couldn't say how proud I am of you, man. Like I said, just watching from afar, just knowing that you're doing your thing. Like I said, whether it's with your kids or just with life in general, any setbacks or anybody try to give you a hurdle or what have you, jump right over it. As far as in regards to these life obstacles here, man. So I commend you on that, and you ain't letting none of that stuff stop you, man. But like I said, I can't say how proud of you I am, man. So I just want to say thank you for just this opportunity to chop it up for a quick sec and everything else too, man. So I keep doing what you're doing, man. And I always know, even with coaches, they say you want to live forever, kind of ingrain your name into a kid's heart. You know what I mean? And I can only imagine all the kids' name. I mean, your name is engraved to a lot of kids' hearts here, man. So thank you for all that you do.
Hey, I appreciate everything that you just said. Hearing you say that you appreciated things that I've done, and watched me from afar. As a young kid and growing up and playing and even coaching, you never know who's watching. You
Right.
never know how you're impacting people. I do know that I've impacted a lot of kids through my coaching days and different things, whether it was in Connecticut or coaching at the Gauchos, or even coaching back here now in New Jersey, whether it was on the boys' side and girls' side. And hearing that word "coach" is, like you said, it means a lot. Before we got on again tonight, one of my former players at East Orange was, "Hey, coach, I'm watching Tremont Waters on TV. I remember you bringing him down to come talk to us."
Mhm.
And he remembered that. And that's a long time ago, and he's watching it. But hearing him and saying, "Happy New Year. Hope you're doing well. Can't wait to come to your game on Monday." Things like that. I haven't coached this kid in, I don't know, over 6 years. Or kids that I coached close to 15 years ago, reaching out and just saying hello and asking how I'm doing and how I'm impacting. But also, seeing the success of those young men, and now young women who are in college at the time, and watching everything. And I try to go about it the same way that Coach Hurley did with us. I'm always telling them that I'm a phone call away. They need something from me, just pick up the phone and reach out or send me a text.
Yeah, definitely, and you're doing it, man. Thank you, and thank you for this time too, man. I ain't think I get it. Like I said, I got like a huge wish list, and I'm just gonna keep attacking it till I try to get just about everybody. And it was
Well,
on it, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to come on. I've had a chance to watch some other people that have been on. So for you to think highly enough of me to want me to come on means a lot. Again, I appreciate it. And if there's any names and numbers that I can help out with, just ask away.
Yeah, you know this recorded, so I'm gonna hold you to it.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. Please do. And if I don't have the number, I may be able to figure out who does, and I can help you get it.
Nah, Billy, thanks a million, man. And like I said, I get down there because everybody's still there. My parents, family, everybody's still in Jersey, man. I look at a schedule, and obviously, amid this COVID and everything else that's going on, man, hopefully could get to a game and check you out. Actually, I got a 7-year-old. I waited forever to have a kid, man. So I'm looking like her grandfather than her dad these days. But like I said, I bring it down. Like I said, we go catch a game or something.
Definitely. Just let me know when you're coming through. I'll put you on that ticket list, and can't wait to see you in person.
Nah, thanks, Bill, and you be well.
Happy New Year again. Appreciate it, Evan.
All right, same to you, Bill.
All right, my man. Bye
All
bye.
right, peace. Good stuff. Good stuff. Got a chance to just catch up with Billy here, man. Just remember him well, his little last small fries to being the coach that he is and the great person that he is, which is way more important than all that other stuff. Yeah, just like I said, I just get touched just connecting with folks and being able to, just hear a little bit of stuff that I might not have heard about, regarding them. But like I said, Billy, it was a pleasure to have you, man. So with that being said, I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.